What if the person you report to every day isn't just a figure of authority, but a subtle manipulator of your mind, energy, and ambition? Having a boss is not just a job. It's a psychological contract that slowly erodes autonomy, creativity, and the ability to think clearly for yourself. Schopenhauer called life suffering, but working for someone else intensifies that suffering in ways most never see. Every demand, every expectation, every performance review chips away at the will until your life is no longer your own. Imagine waking up each day, not to your own calling, but to someone else's agenda. Carl Jung would call this a shadow of the collective, your individuality submerged beneath the authority of another. The very act of answering to a superior places your psyche in a state of constant compromise. Every decision you make is filtered through someone else's priorities, their moods, their goals. Over time, the original spark of your desires fades, replaced by a cautious, compliant shell designed to survive the workday. Think about the subtle ways this control infiltrates your mind. Freud warned that constant submission to authority shapes the unconscious, teaching obedience rather than judgment, fear rather than curiosity. Your thoughts become small, your creativity stifled. The projects you once dreamed of pursuing are postponed indefinitely, always replaced by tasks chosen by someone else. Each compromise feels small, insignificant, but collectively, they form a lifetime of deferred potential. The psychological weight of accountability to another human being creates chronic stress. Modern psychology shows that reporting to a controlling or micromanaging boss activates the same neural pathways as long-term anxiety and trauma. Your amygdala stays on high alert. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that reasons and plans for yourself, gets hijacked by constant vigilance. You are always on edge, always adjusting, always performing. Most people don't even notice it until it's too late. You start to confuse survival with fulfillment, obedience with growth, compromise with wisdom. Jung would warn that this is the surrender of the self to the collective shadow. The part of you that is uniquely yours, the part that dreams, innovates, and rebels, is slowly absorbed into the machinery of another person's ambition. The paradox. Freedom is the precondition for greatness. Every great artist, thinker, and innovator in history has operated under a personal compass, not a boss's timetable. Schopenhauer, Beethoven, Tesla. They all understood that extraordinary achievement requires extraordinary autonomy. But the modern worker trades that autonomy for security, small praise, and a paycheck, never realizing the cost until decades of life have passed. Even when work seems manageable, the subtle erosion continues. Micro-decisions, from where to spend your energy to what ideas to voice, are filtered through someone else's preferences. Your inner dialogue becomes second-guessing. Will my boss approve? Am I doing enough? Have I upset them? Each question diminishes self-trust, replacing it with dependence. You are no longer guided by your own judgment. You are guided by external validation. Modern corporate structures reinforce conformity. Groupthink becomes survival. Creativity, dissent, and independent thinking are discouraged, sometimes subtly, sometimes ruthlessly. Jung called this the tyranny of the collective shadow, the invisible force that suppresses individuality to maintain harmony with the dominant system. You lose your voice while your time, energy, and mental clarity are siphoned off, day after day. year after year. You begin to self-police, critiquing every idea before it emerges, doubting every decision, fearing failure as if it were a moral judgment. Freud described this as the superego in overdrive, an internalized authority that punishes independence with guilt and anxiety. You no longer need your boss to control you. Your own mind has taken over the role. Society tells you this is normal. To work for a boss is to live responsibly, to contribute, to be successful. But success measured by obedience is hollow. Schopenhauer understood that the will, the drive to live fully, is crushed when channeled into servitude for another's goals. The more you comply, the less you truly live. The consequences ripple beyond work. Chronic stress, anxiety, and a slowly shrinking sense of identity invade your personal life. Relationships, hobbies, passions, and even your own sense of purpose are sacrificed on the altar of a boss's expectations. The man who answers to no one walks faster, thinks clearer, and pursues his own vision. The man who answers to another walks carefully, hesitantly, never quite free. But hope exists. Awareness is the first step. Understanding the psychological mechanisms of authority, how your autonomy is subtly corroded, how obedience becomes second nature, allows you to reclaim choice. Jung's individuation, Schopenhauer's clarity on will, and modern psychology's lessons on self-determination all converge on one principle. You must consciously protect your freedom. Every day you spend giving your energy to someone else is a day you could spend building yourself. Every directive you follow without question is a lost opportunity to exercise judgment, creativity, and vision. Life is short. Time is finite. And the cost of obedience is hidden until it has consumed decades. The man who walks alone, guided by his own will, thinks faster, dreams bigger, and acts more decisively than any man who answers to another. To work for a boss is to trade freedom for security. To reclaim your freedom is to reclaim yourself.